Hold up. You're probably here because you heard 50 Cent and Katt Williams are exposing some serious corruption behind Diddy's verdict, right? Well, you're in the right place because things are getting wild. First, 50 Cent got a threatening message saying, "Tell Curtis I ain't done yet." And guess what? Katt Williams literally predicted this $50 million bribery scandal months ago. Diddy's verdict makes absolutely no sense, and we're about to break down exactly why this whole thing stinks of corruption. Yo, what's good, everyone? So Diddy just beat some of the most serious charges that could have put him away for life. We're talking racketeering and sex trafficking charges. But here's where it gets crazy. The internet is absolutely losing it because this verdict doesn't add up at all. Like seriously, how do you get found not guilty of sex trafficking, but then guilty of transporting the same victims? It's giving major bribery vibes. And I'm not the only one thinking this. This isn't just about some random court decision. We're talking about a potential $50 million corruption scandal that goes way deeper than you think. All right, let me break this down for those who might be confused about what actually happened. So Diddy was facing some seriously heavy charges. We're talking about RICO, which is basically saying he was running a criminal organization like some mob boss. Then there were sex trafficking charges involving his ex Cassie Ventura and another woman they called Jane. Plus, he had these transportation charges under something called the Mann Act. Now here's the verdict that has everyone scratching their heads. Not guilty on the big stuff, the racketeering conspiracy that could have meant life in prison, and not guilty on the sex trafficking charges. But then, and this is where it gets weird, guilty on 2 counts of transporting people for prostitution. Each of those can get him up to 10 years. So we're looking at 20 years total. But yo, think about this for a second. How do you transport victims but not traffic them? The logic literally isn't logicing. It's like saying someone broke into the bank with guns but didn't rob the bank. Everyone's asking the same question, and even legal experts are confused by this split verdict. Right now, Diddy's sitting in jail with no bail, waiting for his sentencing on October 3rd. But that's just the beginning of this story because what 50 Cent has to say changes this verdict entirely. So the verdict drops, and immediately 50 Cent jumps on Twitter with this post that basically says, "Diddy beat the feds, that boy a bad man." And honestly, that reaction from 50 tells you everything about how shocked people were.
But the confusion didn't stop there. There's this Twitter post that visually breaks down what Diddy was found guilty and not guilty of, and when you see it laid out like that, it really hits you how weird this verdict is. People are literally asking, they can't believe this verdict was in Diddy's favor. Anyway, here's something that really got people talking. There's a court sketch showing Diddy literally collapsing in his chair and crying after the verdict. You can see how he's having a breakdown by putting his head on the chair. But here's the thing, was he crying because he was happy or because he knew something we don't? And yo, Diddy's fans went absolutely wild celebrating. There's this viral video, and I'm not even kidding, of people literally rubbing baby oil on their bodies to celebrate his verdict. Trust me, it gets weird real quick. But wait, it gets even crazier. Remember that old Boondocks cartoon? Well, apparently they predicted this whole thing would happen. It'll blow your mind how accurate it was.
He wants to put R. Kelly in jail because he's afraid of R. Kelly.
Objection. Would you be quiet?
I think he's afraid. I think the whole system is afraid of R. Kelly.
Your Honor, please! If you don't shut up!
They're afraid because they see the power for good that this man wields through his music.
Now, the celebrity reactions were all over the place. Kesha came out supporting Cassie, saying, "Cassie, I believe you. I love you. Your strength is a beacon for every survivor." Rosie O'Donnell was furious, posting on Instagram about how juries never want to believe women stay because of power and coercion. She said they think women only stay for money or fame, calling the whole decision a joke. But then you had Ray J saying Diddy should have been cleared on all charges. And here's where it gets interesting. Young Miami shared this video of Justin Bieber doing a hand gesture that looks like counting money. Subtle, shade, much. People are saying it shows the power of corruption in American justice. Even Diddy's son, Christian, was out here dancing outside the courthouse after the verdict. The whole family was acting like they just won the lottery, which honestly makes you wonder what they knew that we didn't. Now this is where things get really scary, and honestly it makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. Just hours after Diddy got that split verdict, 50 Cent receives this mysterious Instagram message from what looks like a burner account. The message, "Tell Curtis I ain't done yet."
Let that sink in for a second. Curtis is 50 Cent's real name, so someone wanted to make sure he knew this was personal. And according to insiders, this message came directly from Diddy himself. I mean, who else would it be, right? Here's what's really messed up about this timing. 50 Cent has been working on this documentary called Diddy Do It that's supposed to expose way more than what came out in the trial. The documentary is still in production, but 50 has said it's going to be a complex narrative spanning decades, aiming to dig deeper than what was covered in the trial. So think about it. Diddy gets this suspicious verdict, and immediately after 50 Cent gets threatened? That's not a coincidence. That's retaliation. It's like Diddy is saying, I might be going to prison, but I'm not going down alone. And speaking of what's next, Sean Diddy Combs is returning to court for a pre-sentencing hearing. But honestly, with all this talk of corruption and threats, I'm wondering if we're ever going to get the full truth about what really happened here.
According to you, George, his lawyers will argue today that Sean Combs deserves some special treatment. They're hoping to get him out from behind bars as quickly as possible.
The fact that 50 Cent is getting threatened just for making a documentary should tell you everything you need to know about how deep this goes. These aren't just entertainment industry feuds anymore. This is serious stuff with serious consequences. Now here's where this story gets absolutely insane, and honestly, it's gonna make you question everything you thought you knew. Katt Williams has been warning us about Diddy for months, and everything he said is coming true. Remember when Katt sat down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay? Well, he dropped some bombs that nobody was ready for. He literally said he turned down $50 million from Diddy 4 times. 4 times. But wait, there's more.
It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. Period. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
In a follow-up interview, Katt gave even more details about these $50 million offers.
Turn down $50 million. Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Now get this, during his Netflix special, Katt apparently named specific names, but they edited those parts out of the final cut. However, there's still a joke that made it through that hints at everything.
My point. You can't be so happy to change shit that you up your life. You know how many celebrities went to Diddy's house thinking they was finna dance? How does that feel? You a grown-ass man. You gotta leave Diddy party like that. You can't even sit down in the car. You gotta drive all the way home, standing up.
But here's what really proves Katt was right about everything. Remember how Diddy paid $100,000 to hotel security to get that footage of him attacking Cassie? Now, if Diddy is willing to pay that much for one video, what do you think he'd pay to influence a jury? And it's not just Diddy doing this. Tony Busby, who's representing a lot of the victims, revealed that there are A-list celebrities quietly paying victims to keep their mouths shut. This is a whole system of using money to cover up crimes. So when people ask me, do you really think Diddy would bribe a jury? I'm like, are you serious? This man has a documented history of using money to solve his problems. Bribing security guards, paying off victims, offering comedians $50 million to stay quiet, and you think he'd draw the line at jury tampering? The fact that Katt Williams predicted this whole corruption scenario months ago just shows how deep this rabbit hole goes. And now that the verdict is out, with its weird split decision that doesn't make legal sense, everything Katt warned us about is coming true. All right, let's talk about why this verdict has legal experts scratching their heads and regular people like us asking serious questions about our justice system. The contradictory nature of this verdict is honestly mind-blowing. You're telling me that Diddy didn't run a criminal organization, but he did transport people for prostitution. You're saying he didn't the Cassie and Jane, but he did move people across state lines for the exact same activities. It's like saying someone didn't plan a bank robbery, but they did drive people to the bank with masks and guns. The logic just doesn't work, and that's what's got everyone talking about corruption. Look at Diddy's historical pattern of using money to solve problems. We know he paid $100,000 for hotel security footage. We know he's been offering people like Katt Williams millions to stay quiet. We know from Tony Busby that celebrities are paying victims to avoid lawsuits. So the question everyone's asking is simple. If you can bribe security guards and pay off victims, why not jury members? And here's what's really suspicious. This isn't just about the verdict itself. It's about the timing of everything. The threatening message to 50 Cent, the immediate celebrations, the way Diddy's team acted like they knew something the rest of us didn't. Right now, we're in this weird space where we can't officially prove jury tampering, but we can't ignore all the signs pointing to it either. Current speculation is that this was either straight-up corruption or jury intimidation. And honestly, with Diddy's track record, both seem possible. What's next is a pre-sentencing hearing, and hopefully, some ongoing investigations into how this verdict happened. But I'm not holding my breath for the full truth to come out anytime soon. The bigger picture here is that this case is exposing how money talks in our justice system. When you have enough wealth and influence, apparently you can get verdicts that don't make sense to anyone with basic logic. Look, here's the bottom line. We can't prove bribery happened yet, but Diddy's track record speaks volumes. This man has spent his whole career using money to make problems disappear. And this verdict feels like just another example of that. This case is exposing something bigger than just one celebrity's legal troubles. It's showing us how money can influence justice in ways that should scare all of us. When verdicts don't make logical sense, when threats get made right after court decisions, when comedians predicted the corruption months in advance, we have to start asking serious questions. So I want to hear from you. What do you think? Is this corruption or just a weird coincidence? Drop your theories in the comments because I read every single one. Do you believe Katt Williams really predicted this whole thing? And honestly, should 50 Cent be worried about that threatening message he received? This story is far from over, and something tells me we're going to see a lot more come out in the next few months. Until next time, keep questioning everything and stay woke. Peace out.